Coming up on this episode of the Women's Leadership Mindset Series podcast.
It's not what's holding women back. It's what we need more of a revelation of. Love, 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 love. It is the ultimate success factor. So this is the heart of the book, and it's very simple. That love is that ultimate success factor for women. Not romantic love, not emotional love, but the love of God. And that is really where the foundation, the heaviness of this book lies, is the love of God. The love that reveals our identity, it restores our dignity, and it unlocks our capacity. Because as beautiful as love is romantically, as beautiful as love is emotionally, we also have to understand that love is an intelligence. Love is authority. Love is creativity. Love is wealth. Love is powerful leadership or dominion. And so when a woman knows that she is loved, it's one thing if a woman is loved, whether it's by her friends or her family or her significant other or respected by her peers and so on and so forth. It's one thing to be loved, but it's a whole nother thing to know that you're loved. And once you're in that space of knowing and understanding and comprehending that, then a woman becomes unstoppable.
Welcome, leaders, to the Women's Leadership Mindset Series presented by TK Page Enterprises. My name is Teresa Page, and I am your host and looking forward to spending these next few moments with all of you. We have a lot of work to get done on today, but first, allow me to invite you to connect with me by subscribing to my website and to connect and follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and other social media platforms. And always feel free to contact me directly via email or by booking an appointment. So what is our goal? Well, as an author, speaker, coach, and mentor, my mission is to help professional women renew their leadership mindset with fresh fire and purpose through diverse mediums of leadership empowerment solutions and the My Journey to Wholeness book series. However, the Women's Leadership Mindset Series is a new initiative intended to spotlight powerful women leaders and how they serve the world through their professions and purpose. So with a goal to help women realize their unfulfilled dreams and re-energize the leaders they always were, this platform is designed to enhance, empower, educate, equalize, and even emancipate, as our featured guests share their entrepreneurial stories, provide viable resources, and guidance in a caring, professional, and impactful manner. So, let's get down to business.
Hi there, good morning, leaders. Thank you so much for joining me for Love the Success Factor initiative, which is a solo series that I'm doing within the Women's Leadership Mindset Series podcast. And I just want to say thank you for joining me on today. You know, I'm looking forward to getting ready for some coming virtual retreats. Love the Success Factor Women's Leadership Retreat that's coming up in May the 22nd through the 23rd, as well as on June the 12th and the 13th. That I'm really excited about doing virtually to start having a conversation with women as far as how for us to be able to move forward, especially in this particular time where it seems like things are a little bit bumpy. But that's not what I want to focus on. I really want to focus on, with these experiences, how to utilize love as a skill set so that we are able to plan out our next step, our next 2.0 experience, adventure, whether it is taking on a new career path or starting a business or so on and so forth, or a different type of initiative. That's what I really want to focus in on today. So today, I just want to talk a little bit more about the aspects of this retreat and how it's been inspired by my newest book, My Journey to Wholeness, Love the Success Factor. It is the new edition, and it is a demonstration of how God's love empowers women to lead. It empowers us to create and to generate wealth in the fullness of our equality, our purpose, and for those of us who have a business, even our business. So what I want to do today is maybe take you behind some of the pages of this new book. Now, a lot of the solo episodes have been doing a live reading, but I really want to take time to kind of, for those of you who haven't had a chance to listen, to really kind of break down, the concepts of the book, the story, some of the pressure, some of the revelations, as well as the divine purpose development that has shaped me as a woman and also the woman that I'm becoming. And so I want this episode to be for every woman who feels like she is called to something, but life is kind of pressing her a little bit. It's stretching her. It seems like she is delayed. But this is also for the woman who feels that purpose in the midst of all of this pressing and stretching and delaying, that there's also a tugging of purpose, something to be brought forth to the surface, even in the middle of such chaos. So I want you to hang with me. If you want to grab paper, pen, whatever, to take some notes, or just listen as you're going. We're just going to have just a little conversation on today, and we're going to get in and we're going to get out of here. So thank you so much for listening. So let's get into the book. When I started with the preface, I was coming from a place of when the world stood still. When I started writing this book, we were actually in the middle of a crisis. Our human family was in a global crisis. And as I wrote in this book, the world did stand still. We were sitting in the middle of COVID-19 and how it disrupted everything, whether it was our health, our families, our economy, our sense of safety. But here's the truth that I learned during this time. Crisis doesn't come to break us. In fact, and oftentimes crisis comes to reveal us. And so in the preface, you'll see that I've even mentioned that the pandemic became both a foe and a friend to me, because prior to 2020, and between the end of 2016 up until literally when we had to shut down in some aspects, I was essentially living in a hotel. I was homeless, so to speak. And for those of you that knows my story, chasing after a dream, I lost everything at the end of 2016, and I ended up living in a hotel for some time. But it wasn't so much about living in the hotel, more so it's about me being set aside for some purpose development for the work that I'm actually doing today and the lessons that I needed to learn that is actually implicated here in this book, as well as help me form the work that I'm actually doing today. And that's actually pushing me to do more of these types of retreats for women and for leaders in general. So, as I mentioned, the pandemic was both a foe and a friend because it forced me out of homelessness, because I was able to come out of a space of homelessness. Over those years that I was in that particular space, I was having to repair my finances. I was repairing a lot of things that then allowed me to come out of that space and buy me a home and so many other things that was a result or some of the deliverables of coming out of that space. So when I mentioned that the pandemic was both a foe and a friend, because it was terrible for what the chaos it caused for the global family. But when I say that it was a friend, it's because during the pandemic, there were certain doors that was open to many of us, that for those of us who wasn't panicking and wasn't hell bent on getting outside, there were opportunities, there were doors that was open for us to take advantage of during that particular time. So even though there was such chaos and sickness around us, but those of us who were paying attention during the pandemic, we were able to take advantage of some opportunities that would not have been available to us under any other circumstances. So the pandemic, again, it forced me out of homelessness. It also forced me out of a job, but it also then pushed me into a business as well as my purpose that I feel like I was being prepared for those years prior to. So I would say that the pandemic was really the birth of Teresa 2.0, and I'm still becoming that, this version of myself that could no longer hide, that could no longer shrink or delay my destiny. So that's how this book kind of starts out by setting the scene in the preface. So when you read the book, you'll really kind of get an understanding about where I was coming from when I first started writing this book. So then we hop into the question that really changed everything for me. And so if I can just really quickly take you back to 2015, I was attending a National Women's Month event in downtown Atlanta, and the room was full of brilliant women from all different types of walks of life. And but there was a question that kept coming or kept arising from the audience during the Q&A portion. And there was a young lady who asked the question with all the wonderful things that women could do. There still feels like there's a force that's holding us back. What is it? And of course, women, room full of women, we're bouncing different things, different responses back and forward, whether it's low self-esteem, sexism, racism, so on and so forth. While all of these things were true as somewhat of a hindrance for women over the course of time, um, it still didn't sit right. It still didn't feel like that was the answer to the question. And so leaving that event, that question was still hanging in the air, but it stayed with me. And that particular question, it followed me home. It followed me into my prayer life. It followed me into my purpose. And actually, it was what was the catalyst for my purpose being revealed to help take the lid off of women's capacity. And so that question again became the catalyst for this particular written work, as well as the purpose development process that I went through, which was a multi-year process to really understand or to be able to find out what was it that was holding us back. And so when I go further into the book, I talk about something that's called the diamond effect. Because even though I felt so excited about my purpose being revealed to me, up to this point, I've kind of been wondering, what am I made for? Uh, what am I really supposed to do? There's a lot of things that I'm great at, but what is it that I was really put in the world to do? And so what I learned was immediately leaving that event, I hopped on to jump out and go ahead and start working towards this purpose. Overzealousness. For me, anybody that knows me, overzealousness is both a strength of mine, but it's also an Achilles heel of mine as well, because I was so excited, genuinely excited, that I took everything that I had at the time, which was the publication of my first book, the fact that I already had my master's, uh, the fact that there were certain things I already knew how to do as far as planning events. Uh, I felt like I had all of the right ingredients, but I found out differently. So what you're going to find, and I believe it's the first chapter, you're going to find me talking about an experience, how I was able to, if I had to call my entire purpose development experience a name, would call it the diamond effect. Because here's the thing, purpose sounds beautiful until you realize that purpose comes with pressure. And so in this book, I do describe a process called the diamond effect. And it is a process that I feel that the Lord used, that was heated, that was pressurized, but time was necessary to help me to refine um, to refine me into something that was unbreakable. And I believe that that's for all of us, even if you don't call it the diamond effect. I believe that once our purpose is revealed to us, that we do have to go through a refining process to become our purpose. Not just to read about it, to learn about it, the book smarts and all of that, but sometimes you have to go through real life circumstances, real life experiences, so that you are not just learning about what you're preparing for, but that you have to become that. Whatever the message is, you have to become that. And so the reason why I call it the diamond effect is because diamonds are formed way beneath the earth under extreme heat and pressure. And I believe that so are we. And diamonds are also blast to the surface. It's these beautiful things. They're blast to the surface with extreme volcanic um, activity. And then in some ways, so are we. And so in this particular chapter, I talk about the major elevations of purpose or the Diamond Effect, which is a purpose development process. The first one was the revelation of purpose. That is when you're shown a big picture. So you're going to hear me talk about some faith things because I'm a woman of faith. So that's the way it is. But in this particular case, I feel like the Lord showed me a big picture in full color, full glory, about my future, about my purpose. And so all of it was in full bloom, but there wasn't any details. It was just this big, huge picture. And that's what I was running after, started running after immediately was the big picture. But I found moving ahead of time that that was a zealous mistake. So as I mentioned, overzealousness for me is both a strength as well as a weakness. So that's the second elevation of this particular diamond effect is the zealous mistake. You see, the zealous mistake is where you jump out too soon, where you move ahead of the plan. You think you have the right resources, like I thought I had the right resources, but you don't have the right resources. You don't have all of the provisions, and you're trying to build without the appropriate blueprint. And so, as a result of that, everything collapses. And so, the interesting thing about this particular process is that you think you have made a complete failure, but actually, it is this particular process depends on a person making that zealous mistake. It depends on the person jumping out ahead of time, bumping their head a little bit, even to the point where everything may collapse. So then you're brought into a place where you can now be taught, you could be formed, you could be developed. And so that's what I think is so beautiful about the zealous mistake because it's not an absolute failure. It's actually a part of the process, and the process depends upon it. Now, the third elevation in the diamond effect is the promise. So, right before all of the pressure of your collapse hits, again, you're shown your future in high definition because it's important that not only are you revealed to your purpose and you go through your zealous mistake, but you also need to understand that there's a promise here, that there's sweetness that's coming. And you think, for me, I thought sweetness was right around the corner. I did not realize it was going to take some time. So, but I'm thankful that the sweetness, the promise, the sweetness of a promise was revealed to me because when things really got ugly, it is what helped me to anchor when things got ugly, when the storm got rough, I had something that would hold me. I had something to look forward to. So I didn't abort the purpose, this purpose development process before time. So that was important. So you need something that's going to hold you when you're going through your process, that you need something that will keep you motivated, that even when you do get tired, you want to give up. And there might be moments that you'll give up temporarily and you'll jump back in, but you need something that's going to drive you forward. So the next elevation was the place of preparation. And so in this place, this could be a multi-year process because this is something that takes over time. It depends on where you are, what type of life experience you've had, what your past was like, because this can be probably the longest part of the process is the place of preparation. And so, as I mentioned, even with losing everything and ended up staying in a hotel for some time, the place was prepared for me. And that's what I need people to understand. It's not about living in a hotel. It was the fact that this particular space that I was in was designed specifically for me because there was grace that was given to me that I don't know that I would have found anyplace else. And it was a place of protection and of safety. And there were people that was encamped around me. They knew I went to work every day. They basically knew my schedule. They knew my going out, my coming in. They knew what kind of woman that I was, and they protected me. Um, it was such a bubble of time. I can't even begin to express that. I can't even begin to express how much of a place that this truly was, a river in the middle of a desert. It was an oasis that was created so that I could be fully developed. So this was a place that, number one, that I could heal because I did have to address my health. I found out that I had very low iron and all these other kind of things. So it was a place where I could heal, that I had to address my health. It was a place where I could grow. And even though I'm in this situation, I was still being promoted at work and all of those other kind of things. So that some of the spaces I was allowed to step into, they weren't permanent. But it was for my training, for the work that I'm doing today and for the work that I'll be doing in the future during this time. And because of those promotions, it put me inside the room or close by leaders so I could hear the language, so I could learn the language of leadership. It also allowed me to confront my pain from my past, even from my present. And it also helped me to renew my mind. The lesson that I came out of this process with, it helped me to renew my mind. Wherein a lot of thoughts, and you may have heard me say this before, that a lot of thoughts that I had prior to uh, of low esteem and all these other kind of things that could paralyze me, with this renewed mind, with the new context, becoming the purpose that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, those unseemly thoughts that could paralyze me for days and days and days at a time, they weren't allowed to live as long. And so it's not to say that I don't have them, but they don't get to come and stay. That's the difference. So the next step is in this elevation of the diamond effect is the power of mentorship. So this is what was really important, is because during this time, and I still believe this is still part of the preparation phase, but I separated this one out separately because mentorship was really important. So not only was I in the room with leaders, being able to hear the language of leaders, of C-suite leaders, and being able to do extraordinary things that was sometimes outside the scope of my employment, I was then in a position where I was able to be mentored by a C-suite leaders or leaders who was over organizations. And so that gave me both spiritual and practical guidance. So it helped me to shape my leadership. It helped me to shape my voice and not to be ashamed of my voice and to elevate my voice. It also helped me to develop some discipline and also helped me to look forward to my destiny, especially to understand that even though my 9 to 5 was important, what my other work, as far as writing my books and doing other things, that was where I really needed to put my energy. And so I was thankful to those mentors because they didn't just mentor me for the job, they were mentoring me for my purpose. And I was really thankful for that period of mentorship and develop during my place of preparation. So the next thing in the diamond effect is kingdom currency. And this is where I learned that money is not my only resource. I learned this during this particular time because as much as I'm trying to say that this experience of living in a hotel for some time was, I eventually saw it to be a place of development. Initially, I was trying to get out. Anytime, every time I tried to get out of that space, if I was doing my best to get out of it. And even during some of this time, I was even in a leadership position, it was making much more money. So you would think I'd be able to climb out of this hole. But what in this place of purpose development, I discovered my money didn't mean anything, my position didn't mean anything, my growing influence in the community did not mean anything. My advanced degrees, none of that. The relationships I was building at the time, none of those things mattered. My money didn't matter. None of those things mattered. But what did matter and what became my new economy was understanding grace and miracles and blessings and promises as well as wonders and how these particular assets created favor and access and timing and divine alignment and how to use them appropriately to be able to move me forward in this diamond effect process. So I said all that to say, and beyond kingdom currency, I would say that there is maybe a couple of more steps as far as like finally coming into the place of manifestation. You're being developed, and now you're coming into a place of manifestation. You have learned your lesson. The message that you have that has been developed as a result of this is now you're starting to finally come into a space where you know this diamond effect purpose development aspect is getting ready to come to a close. It's coming to a close, and you're ready to move forward. You're essentially ready to move forward, and you can feel it coming because you feel better, you're stronger, your finances are in a better position, you're learning how to be more of a leader, you're standing up straight, your shoulders are and all of that. You're seeing yourself differently as a different person, and the world is starting to see you different, and your voice is becoming stronger. So that is really actually the time, that transition of coming out of manifesting and then eventually coming into a place of possession. So you'll see that in the book, um, all of these elevations and what that looked like. It's probably one of the longest chapters, if not the longest chapter in the book before I even really get to the lesson. Because what I had to learn was I had to learn what the secret was to what was holding women back. And so this purpose development process was necessary so I could learn the answer to that question. And so that is when we move into further into the book where you get to the chapter about love, the success factor, because that is the key. That is the key. It's not what's holding women back. It's what we need more of a revelation of. Love, 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 love. It is the ultimate success factor. So this is the heart of the book, and it's very simple. That love is that ultimate success factor for women. Um, Not romantic love, not emotional love, but the love of God. And that is really where the foundation, the heaviness of this book lies, is the love of God. The love that reveals our identity, it restores our dignity, and it unlocks our capacity. Because as beautiful as love is, romantically, as beautiful as love is emotionally, we also have to understand that love is an intelligence. Love is authority. Love is creativity. Love is wealth. Love is powerful leadership or dominion. And so when a woman knows that she is loved, it's one thing if a woman is loved, whether it's by her friends or her family or her significant other or respected by her peers and so on and so forth. It's one thing to be loved, but it's a whole nother thing to know that you're loved. And once you're in that space of knowing and understanding and comprehending that, then a woman becomes unstoppable.
Hi there, leaders. Thank you so much for listening in to our conversation on today. I want to take a quick pause to share with you something very special. Listen, I know that many of you are in a season of survival and you're standing at a crossroad, quietly wondering if the pressures of this moment might break you. But I say not so. I know that we're living in a time where women are navigating economic shifts, leadership fatigue, and identity alignment. So I want to cordially invite you to Love the Success Factor Women's Leadership Retreat that is designed to recharge you and to reactivate you with economic, cultural, and community influence, all through the power of love. So, as a tangible demonstration of how God's love empowers women to lead, to create, and to generate wealth, this experience is for you if you're ready for transformation to your next career or entrepreneurial move. If you have ideas and dreams that you want to bring to life, if you lead a team, a business, an initiative, or a community, or even if you're just navigating complex professional or personal responsibilities, we want you to come into this virtual space so that you can find the inspiration, the practical tools, the actionable strategies, and the supportive community needed to help you step into your 2.0. So please see the bio for the important link to learn more and to register for one of the scheduled events that will convene via Cisco WebEx. We look forward to seeing you. Now back to our episode.
So when I talk about that love is leadership, love is leadership. Love is not just leadership, but love is supreme leadership. Love is dominion. And so this is probably the heart, the most favorite part of the book is talking about dominion, the original blueprint. So you'll see that I discuss that uh, in this book that we were not created for good or for evil. You will understand that we were created for dominion, not domination, but stewardship, influence, creativity, and leadership. Dominion is the mandate that the Lord bestowed upon the human family from the very beginning. Whether you believe in a God or not, supreme leadership, supreme authority here in the earth realm is what the human family was designed for. And so, what's also important is to understand that in a world where there's leverage over women and women have had to fight second status citizenship or second class citizenship, regardless in what place of the world, or overcome being looked at beyond property. It is important that women also understand that we are equal in this mandate. And see, it doesn't matter where you come from. I don't care where you're trying, what point of view you're trying to come from, whether via culture or society or even via religion. It's time for us to get an understanding that men and women were created equal with the same assignment of dominion. I don't care what you heard or what you believe. And for some reason, this is where a lot of people riff sometimes. But until men and women come to a complete understanding about one another, that it takes us both for complete success, whether you're in a family relationship or a romantic relationship or a professional relationship, until men and women understand that we are complements to each other, that even though men see one way and women see another way, that together it gives us a global perspective. Until we can understand that, we will always have chaos and leverage in the world. But if we ever mess around and get on the same page, we will see, I'm almost convinced of it, we will begin to see a boost in our economy. We will begin to eliminate all types of injustice in the world, all types of leverage, and we will see a beautiful restoration in the earth realm, in our atmospheres, in our domains of industry, in our families, in our communities, everywhere that a human being needs to exist, we will see a complete difference. And we can choose that if we choose, instead of working so hard to take women backwards. We need to work together so that we can move forward as a 21st century society. So you will find in this particular section of the book where I will also talk about the fact that women are also included in the mandate of dominion, that we're equal in the mandate of dominion. You will see me talk about, or see where I write, how that as a woman, equality begins with me. For women, equality begins with us. And let me tell you why. It's because before we as women can fight any system, we must be able to confront our internal beliefs. Yes, that negative self-talk. Yes, imposter syndrome. Yes, anything else that is contrary to who we actually are, that tries to speak differently, until we confront our internal beliefs that tell us that we are less than, that we're too late, we're too much, we're not enough, whatever, until we get ourselves together with us. Once we do that, then we are then put in a position, ladies, to either eliminate or at least lessen the probability of ending up in environments that seek to have rule over us. Because if we have us together, we will choose better. Choose our mates, choose our friends, choose our occupations, choose how we want to do life, where we want to live, how we want to be. When we get us together, then it broadens our choices. And it also puts us in a position where we can choose where we want to be. And sometimes that takes some work. That takes some real work to do some internal search with our own personal inventory. But even beyond all of that, it is important that when you leave this particular section of the book, that you'll understand that dominion is our birthright. Purpose is our assignment. And love is the power source that catalyzes all of this. So as we move on in the book, and as I prepare to wrap up, listen, another section of the book that I talk about is the tendency to create wealth. And see, from a woman's point of view, women, we are creators by design. And a lot of times we create based upon either who we love, what we love, or where we might find an absence of love. If you really think about it, women, a lot of the ways that we create, what catalyzes us to actually create, is either by who we love, what we love, or where we see an absence of love. And so creation is the foundation of wealth. And based upon what it is that we could create, whether it's something that's tangible or a tangible good or intangible service, if we could ever perceive, when a woman perceives that her merchandise is good, she becomes a force in the marketplace. It might take a little time to really understand who your niche is, or to be positioned correctly, or to use the right language, or understand the persona of your demographic and start making those relationships and all those other kind of things. But if you can perceive that your merchandise is good, all of those figuring outs, you'll get to it. Eventually, you'll get to the rightful spot where then you can start building upon your wealth. And see, it's also important to understand that wealth is not just about money. As I mentioned earlier, as far as kingdom currency, money is not the only resource. Wealth is not just about money. Wealth for us really is about wisdom. And with wisdom comes creativity. And with creativity comes innovation. And with innovation, we then have the ability to multiply what has been put in our hands, or to scale, if that word lands better with you. So, what I like to express in this particular book is for women to build, to lead, and to generate wealth from a place of love, from that place of dominion, from a place of divine intelligence that I call wisdom. So, as I come to the close, and there's so much more to this book, but there's a lot of this book is not something to blow through. It's really not. It's something to digest, because it's really going to call you back home to yourself. It's not about just my words. It's not about my journey. Even though I do share some of my journey, the context of this book is to bring you back to you. It is a call to become your 2.0 self. So, as I'm preparing to close, I want to speak directly to you. Listen, I don't know where you are in your diamond effect season. I don't know if you're at the beginning, smack dab in the middle, or on your way out. But you may be in your diamond effect season. You might be in a place of pressure. You may be in a place of healing. You may be rebuilding. You may be rediscovering yourself. But I want you to understand that wherever you are, wherever you are in your process, this process didn't come to break you. You are becoming. And that is what is really important. And so this is your moment to release the watered down version of yourself. See, I understand for many of us, especially here in the United States and maybe other parts of the world, for many of us that has been pushed into the job market as a result of a lot of dismantling of DEI policies from our federal governments on down, it may have pushed you out into the job market. As AI arises and all these other kind of things, or organizations just decide to close, that there are thousands that's just thrust into the job market. We are in precarious times. I understand that. I get it. Wholeheartedly do I get it. Probably more so than anyone. I'm rebuilding just like anybody else. But I think what is really important is that moments like this, it is an opportunity to finally take off the back burner anything that you have not prioritized because of your work schedule and because of the hustle and the bustle. of getting it in, of having to do what you need to do for yourself and for your family. And my thing is that while it may feel like it sucks, you've been given a gift of time and a gift of room to determine what is your next 2.0 self. And this is the opportunity for either for you to go back to school, to update your resumes, to take on a different skill, to possibly go to your small development center to start a new business, or finally take out that manuscript and finish the book, or to finally start that organization you've always wanted to start, or to take that cooking class that you've always wanted to take because you always wanted to be a chef, or if you want to become an engineer in the world of AI, or so on and so forth. Doesn't matter. Moments like this is an opportunity to shed off your old self and to let your 2.0 self emerge. And it's important that your 2.0 self emerges. Why? Because there is a people, there's a territory, there's a space that's waiting for you. That needs what you are carrying. I say this all the time. There's a people, a region, or a territory, or a space, a sphere of influence that's waiting for you, for your voice, for your invention, for your good, for your service, for your creativity, for your innovation, for your wisdom. And in those places is where your wealth lies. I wholeheartedly believe it. And I'm still in the press of it as well. I am not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, well, Teresa has arrived. She has not. She is still emerging. She is still building. And regardless of where you are, this is your time. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready to become somebody else's employee? Or are you ready to become an employer? Are you ready to become a person of interest, of influence? Then I think that's amazing. If you're ready, then let's go. Here, listen, I mentioned it at the beginning. If you're not sure how to do this, if you're not sure uh, what to do, or if you're at that crossroads and you're not sure what is the next plan or any of that, I invite you to join me for Love the Success Factor Women's Leadership Retreat. Again, we have our first virtual event that's coming up in just a few weeks on Friday, May 22nd through Saturday, May the 23rd, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via Cisco WebEx. We also have an event that's coming up in the month of June, Friday, June 12th through Saturday, June the 13th of 2026, again starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via Cisco WebEx. And what's really special is that just for a limited time only until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, May the 10th, I'm offering a limited time offer for the upgrade that is going to be available. And you'll see the information in the bio. I want you to take advantage of this. And let me also say, I'm also opening these doors even for men. Because the information, while I may initially written all of this, I am understanding that this concept of love and leadership and love and purpose, love and vision, love and becoming your 2.0, this is for all of us. There'll be some aspects that's just for the girls, but let me tell you something. A lot of this information is universal, and our brothers need it as well. So I'm even opening the doors for our dear brothers to come into the room and share this experience. So I want you to check the bio for more information, for full details, as well as how to register. And for those of you, for you leaders or for you HR personnel or anyone else, if you're one of the decision makers in your organization and you're looking for another leadership development opportunity, that you want to come and just scout this out so that we're able to do a private retreat even with your organization, whether you're a nonprofit, faith-based, or professional organization that champions women's upward mobility, I invite you to come into the room, or either to schedule a meeting with me and let's talk about creating something special specifically for your organization. So listen, everyone, I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another individual who is rising to their next level or needs to rise to their next level. And let's stay connected for more conversations, more leadership insights, as well as more purpose-driven episodes that are on the way, either here in this Love and Success Factor initiative or with the Women's Leadership Mindset series, where I'm putting a spotlight on other women leaders. Let us stay connected. So until next time, here's to the journey, and let's move forward.